So we're live on we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You know what I'm saying? DJ Hampton Stampede in the building. This is an impromptu show. I apologize, you know what I mean? But my two brothers was ready to rock, so we just gonna rock. You know, share the live. Don't watch it, watch it. I don't give a shit. We here. So these two are my favorite people in the world. These two also get on my motherfucking nerves. I just want to put that out there. All right. So this is What Do You Believe Part 2. You know what I'm saying? So Scram he was at work. I think the last time we popped it off, he was up here with the white girl. I can't remember her name. And she got
Put him in a fucking bed. Put
it wasn't. And the thing is, he took it easy on her. So you know, we want to shout out to that.
Okay.
Jeez Louise, man. You want to talk about a bloodbath? You know what I'm saying? It could have got real ugly, you know what I mean? But it's a dialogue, right? Everybody may not agree, but you gotta agree to disagree and you gotta have a conversation. You know what I mean? So I think that's the key because you know, all you get, right, you gotta get understanding. So I think that's the key to all of this. You gotta have a takeaway, right? And if it's for entertainment, so be it, right? But here we go. All right.
Nigga, that shit was hard, nigga. That shit was fire, nigga. We about to do a trick. I'm
like that shit.
I'm gonna tell you where I got my camera. I'll give you whatever you want to know about this camera. You tell me who made that shit. Let's go. That shit was hard, though. I ain't gonna lie.
I'll send you the link ASAP. Soon we get off of this for sure. So this is What Do You Believe? So Ezra, we'll start with you. What's your basic belief system? You know,
My basic belief system. First off, Shalom, all praises to the Most High. My basic belief system would be that I'm by blood a Hebrew Israelite of the Bible. You know, I follow the tenets of the Most High, which are found in the Torah, best of my abilities, and that's my belief system.
Okay, can you get your fat stinking ass in the middle of the camera?
Yo, it's crazy because I'm plugged up. So I'm on the angle. I'm plugged up.
I'm talking to Scram. What I tell him before we started, Scram?
Put him in a fucking bed. Get him out.
Yeah.
I told him get right. Then I say put it down. This is a production.
Yo, this is the best I could do.
All right. Scram, what's good? What's your basic belief system?
You know what I'm saying? First off, appreciate you having me on your podcast. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man E. You know what I mean? Both my brothers, my bro cousins and shit. I'm God body. You know what I mean? Peace to the gods and the earth. You know what I'm saying? We seek the highest knowledge possible. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? Whatever knowledge that is out there that is concrete that we can obviously see logic behind and follow, then that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, though, I don't follow their whole everything because I don't personally agree with everything that's in their doctrine, you know what I'm saying, in the mathematics. But however, I do agree with at least 95% of it. So
now to clarify, what is that? What exactly you said there? What is there? Who is there?
The nation of gods and earths, the 5% nation.
Okay, 5% nation. Well, you said 95%.
Well, 95% of the stuff that they teach is I believe in. Like I fuck with. It's like a small amount of things that's in there that I don't really agree with, whatever. And that's up for discussion, really. To be honest with you, it's just like personal opinion.
Yeah. So let me ask, how long you been on that train? How long you been in that movement?
I would say about the last. We in 2021. I would say about the last 5 years. About 2016 is when I actually got real serious. It was like, you know what, because I went through a couple phases. Like I went through the first phase I ever went through was the Hebrew Israelite phase. was like, all right, this is what it is. Like, this is what I'm learning. I mean, I'm learning knowledge about that.
Mm.
It kind of led me down the road into all types of different phases, which led me to the God Body Nation. And they were just like, yo, listen, like, first of all, it's relatively new. It ain't nothing that's, that goes into ancient antiquity. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that's relatively new, something that I correspond with a lot weller than religion, so to speak. And I'm using that term loosely. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying when I say that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously we're going to use terms so that everybody can understand, you know what I mean? Right. Because, you know, a lot of the beliefs are not religion, but
Right.
because people are not, well versed yet, then it's an easier word so everybody can, be on the same page.
Big facts.
Ezra, how long you been on that journey?
I would say about 5 of knowing it. It's a journey that I don't think will end because of the amount of tenets that I want to perfect to keep. So I've been on this journey for about 5 years, I would say. 3 strong years of really delving into it wholeheartedly, I would say. But yeah, about 3 strong years.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Scram. I'm gonna give you the floor. So Hebrew Israelism, right? You say you jumped into it. You kind of went away from it. What was some of the minutia or dogma or shit, what bullshit that caused you to say, you know what, this ain't it?
Oh, it's a great question. Um, well, like I said, I'll start with the view of at one point I was like how you had just explained. Um, Not everybody understands how we look at it as a way of life. You know what I'm saying? So at one point I was on that side. You know what I mean? So now when I'm looking at it, I'm learning about it and everything. And mind you, I didn't see the thing about it is I wasn't looking for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was studying ancient African existence basically,
Mm,
and it was bringing up like certain little Bible verses and things like that, and then they would link the Bible verses back to the Bantu people, and then they're like saying that on the walls the Bantu people literally had like drawings of themselves as Israelites with what everybody knows the Star of David. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? And it's like you can't ignore that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So then I started learning more. You know what I mean? And as I learned more, it just felt more like religion to me. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. Another thing was learning about Demona, and the Israelites out there in Israel
mm,
who I didn't realize were American, like Black American Israelites, really out there in Demona in Israel, living it up. I'm like, okay, this because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that shit sound dope. Like that's like it's like sound like heaven and shit. But then I actually started learning about what goes on in that shit, and I'm like, granted, that's granted, it ain't everybody because again, that goes on in America, that goes on in India, it goes on in whatever. You know what I'm saying? It goes
yeah,
on everywhere. So it ain't everybody in Demona, but to know that what's going on there and it's prompt and it's like actually like on a mass level and it's well known, it was like, damn, that shit kind of fucked it up. So like that was it too. And again, even that isn't even said to be true because I don't know that's going on there. You know what I mean? Like just these are things that I'm learning, I'm studying, I'm looking up, and
mm,
again, I'm picking whether or not I want to believe and not believe. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I mean, it was a lot of things. You know what I mean? That drove me away from that. You know what I mean? And being biased. No,
yeah,
like again, like I said, like it was religion. So if I looked at it as religion, automatically in my mind, I'm not fucking with it. So boom, I'm not fucking with that. I'm not fucking with, and then like I started doing the Muslim thing. And the Muslim thing, they said the same thing. It's a way of life. It's not a religion. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me see how this is going. Then start to feel like religion to me. And I'm like, I don't really do that. But I mean, again, a lot of things also in the Bible itself stirred me away from the Bible until I learned how to actually decipher what I'm actually reading.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then it's like, I bet. You like now I kind of like I'm kind of not, I'm not gonna say I'm into the Bible, but I'm kind of more interested in it than before because now I'm more aware of how to read it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. That's a pretty good, pretty clear synopsis. I have
Mhm.
a question on it in terms of just some of the points you brought out. So Ezra, same type of question, like Christianity, right?
Hmm.
You know, your grandma's a pastor, so on and so forth. So how did you, clarify that? Are they the same thing? If not, what took you out of Christianity and brought you to convert to or get understanding on Hebrew Israelism?
Well, growing up in Christianity, I'm gonna be honest, I was never really interested. It's a place of emotion. If you get what I'm saying, just emotions are running rampant in there. I have never been, nor do I think many masculine men are emotional. You know what I mean? So it's just growing up into it. I always had questions. I always just try to fake it to appease, the congregation, getting prayed for and showing emotion. And I would think, dang, it should come naturally. Why do I have to fake my emotion? You know what I mean? So it's like
Hmm.
that's what kind of rubbed me the wrong way growing up in it. And then as I got older, I got angry. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't decipher whether they were purposely lying to me or purposely lying to me for a money game or some sort, or they were just, just I can't even say that they weren't educated enough to read the Bible correctly because they were grown people. You know what I mean? So I came to the conclusion that it was purposefully spoon fed to me, just like it was spoon fed when we got off the shores in Virginia in the 1600s. So therefore, I always and my mom, is a PK pastor's kid. She always had the questions, so I always had the question just inherently. You know what I mean? So, and I just began to read the Bible for myself and realized that it's not an all inclusive book. It's a history of one people written by one people for one people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just like any other history book. So that's what kind of steered me out of the Christianity, which they don't follow the tenets of the Torah. They said it's they say stuff like their sins were nailed to the cross. And I'm thinking, and a 5-year-old could be thinking, how can sins you commit tomorrow be nailed to the cross 2,000 years ago? That makes no sense. So it's just like and that verbiage, that phrase nailed to the cross isn't found in the book. So it's just like a defeatist mentality in there. Weak. I can't keep the laws, and it's just a defeatist mentality in an emotional place, and that's what steered me away.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate y'all being transparent. So, for Scram, question. So, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because I stand to be corrected. um, Now I know you said it was some of the ideas which you did not, necessarily agree with, but I thought, now again, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 percenters, you have to master all the lessons. So if you don't agree with some, how do we qualify as a 5 percenter?
Right. So basically, um, what happened was how I started it was like this. I basically went through the lessons and mastered all the lessons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, again, this was on some me being tunnel vision, like, yo, trying basically at that point in my life, too, I was trying to find like a home
Mm-hmm.
to be with. Like, I wanted to actually commit to something. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was tunnel vision and I actually did. But when I actually, like, a year, like, I put them down, it was like around like I think last year, I started like getting back into studying the mathematics, and I'm like not necessarily agreeing with that. Like because now I'm more aware now. So I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, boom, I'm reading it. I'm going back over the mathematics. And there's certain lessons that I'm just like, yeah, all right, cool. But see that the funny thing is it's a lot of people who also are in the same boat as me. That actually, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't go through the actual school of Mecca in Harlem. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So what they basically saying that like anyone could claim 5% as long as you're following the 120 mathematics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's 5%ers who actually went through the school of Mecca who are like, yo, the teachings are a little outdated. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, if you do not master the 120s, then yeah, you're really not. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out if, because I know it's Clarence, right, in Harlem.
Mhm.
I think it's like
All that a
1962
lot.
or something like that, 1964. But yeah, so is that one of the parameters? Do you have to go through the school in Harlem or
Nah, see, maybe no. I'm gonna be honest with you. As in the beginning, I'm not sure. Like it could have been. You see what I'm saying? But this is coming from Master All Out, the teacher who's running the school now. He
yeah,
literally said out his own mouth, like, you know what I mean? Literally, no one can say that they are. No one can tell someone that they're not a 5%er. You see what I'm saying? If I
mhm,
come up, because the 5%er really is just the 5% who understands what's going on in society and is trying to wake up the 85%. You see what
mhm,
I'm saying? So like
mhm,
if you're a part of that 5%, like you automatically like to be real, you're a 5% because you're waking up the masses. You see what I'm saying? However, you're just not in the 5% nation. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
like anyone who is really like against the machine and waking up the masses, like, yo, listen, like, you know, there's 10% out there who's keeping everything for themselves,
yeah,
like keeping it from all of us. There's 90% over here. Now 85% of y'all don't even see this shit, but there's 5% of us over here. And to be real, whether you a Muslim, whether you a Hebrew Israelite, whether you a 5% nation, whether you anything Kemetic, you over here in that 5%, because you are over, especially if you teaching the masses about it and like, yo, listen, we got to wake up, because in all reality, yo, everyone on the planet has their own whatever they have. You see what I'm saying? You can call it religion, call it way of life, you can call it whatever you want, but they have it. You see what I'm saying?
mhm,
So to say everybody is one thing, um, will be overstepping. You see what I'm saying? That's why in my eyes, like, yo, listen, I get it. You can't say that you're not that these people aren't Hebrew Israelites, because there are Hebrew Israelites. You can't say that these people aren't Moorish people, because at one point there was Moorish people walking around here. There was Moors, you know what I'm saying? You can't say these people aren't Muslims or they don't, because at one point that's what we were doing across the globe. We were doing it all. So like to say that we are one thing, I think that's where everybody is misconstruing the whole freedom ride. Like it's like, yo, listen, we all got our own shit, but we fighting the same enemy. Until we get rid of that enemy, then we need to realize that y'all what we believe in is cool, but it's not gonna actually do anything until we actually get rid of this nigga. Then we could be like, all right, bet. Now we got rid of these niggas. Yo, listen, we Hebrew Israelites and we taking this corner of the world. Like, yeah, I bet. Do that because we're gonna be over here. I bet do that because we're gonna be over here. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like we understand, like now it's interesting though. I'm gonna be honest with you. The Hebrew Israelite thing is interesting. Like the
okay,
whole 12, especially with the 12 tribes and shit. Cause
mhm,
like as I started coming, like again, like me and Ez had this talk. You see
mhm,
what I'm saying? Where I was like, yo, recently I was coming across mad knowledge and like videos and shit where like the information about who we are, and I'm just only talking about us in America. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? The blacks in America.
yeah,
Who we are, yo, there's a lot of it's just a lot of proof on that shit. Like, and that's what makes me be like, yo, I can't even really deny the Hebrew Israelite uh way of life, because at the end of the day, it's like, yo, she got a lot of fucking concrete evidence when you start to actually really, really, because it's like this. Certain people could tell you something, but if they don't give it to you a certain way,
mhm,
it won't hit you.
Yeah, it won't
And
resonate.
it's somebody. Well, I was on TikTok, like these dudes is on TikTok and they giving it. I ain't gonna lie, like they follow me, so I follow back. A lot of times I don't even know who I'm following until like they put a video out, and I follow a lot of Hebrew Israelite niggas, and
Yeah.
they like saying certain shit where I'm like, I asked that question,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, damn, that nigga he kind of answered it differently, and that shit kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where I couldn't even like, I'm like, damn, I gotta really go look into that shit. So it's like, yo, there's more of that and more of that and more of that. But see, it's now corresponding with the fourth dimensional knowledge that I was getting. So it's like, hold on, this shit is kind of like it's about to start to come together. It's over here, but
Yeah.
it's doing this. Like
Yeah.
the more shit I'm learning, everything that I'm learning is just coming together
Yeah.
like this. You see what I'm saying? So it's like at the end of the day, yo, like everybody just got to be able to put the pride down and be like, yo, we got to share information because everything connects, but you just got to figure out how
Okay. So, all right. Well, I got a few questions.
to.
Let me go to Ezra real quick. So, just kind of off of what Scram's saying. So basically, right, our people are oppressed, right? There are different beliefs out there. If we could put that aside and come together for the greater good, right? Then once we get, maybe out the Scram, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm
Mhm.
just surmising. Out the way of our enemy, right? And then once
Hmm.
we get out the way of the enemy, then maybe we can, you know, agree to disagree, but we'll be okay as long as we put some of our beliefs aside. Now, as a Hebrew Israelite, is that
Hmm.
possible?
Uh, I want to say this first and foremost. As Hebrew Israelites, no matter what doctrine our people believe in, whether it be Christianity, uh, being a Muslim, 5%, we all have a common enemy, whether we want to realize it or not. With that being said, we are commanded to love our people, whatever doctrine they're into. The commandment of love is always going to be there. So that's first and foremost, and we need to realize we got a common enemy. I agree with Scram said, and
Hmm.
then of course we could come together once we get out the way of the machine. You know what I mean? We could come together and do whatever we do to create a conducive life for us as a people. Of course, you know what I
Mhm.
mean. The stomach is connected to the brain. Not to get scientific, but our people come together and do what we need to do with the five. What's that? The five Maslow hierarchy of needs. That's what we need to focus on after we come together. We could do that and believe in a different doctrine. You know what I mean? So
Let me
So,
say something real quick on here. Let me say something. I want to touch on.
all right, make it short, nigga. You
It's
long.
real, it's real short. Check this out. Another reason why I believe I started to like switch the pendulum because it was like, yo, what he just said, he was like, yo, even if we believe in a fucking he said he said we're all Israelites, even if we believe in another doctrine, right? That shit kind of makes sense because even Farrakhan gets on the podium and be up there talking about how we the children of Israel.
Yeah.
And you over here talking about Father Allah, praise Allah, all this other stuff, but you calling us the children of Israel.
Yeah.
I find that interesting. But go ahead.
Yeah. No. So yeah, even if you read the Quran, um, the children of Israel are God's chosen people in the Quran as well. Um, just for I like to give references. So the cow 2:47. If you wanted to look it up, we got people watching, but the cow 2:47 will say that it says the chosen people of the Quran are still the Israelites because the biggest prophet in the Quran is Abraham, right? So a lot of the teachings line up, just in terms of that. Um, Now, question for Ezra, right?
yeah.
So, what do you do um, when it says um, the 2/3 will be destroyed, right?
Hmm.
And if your neighbor is sinning, um, in Leviticus, it says you must rebuke them. So how do we come together if your tenants say that we have to rebuke our neighbors, hold them accountable, don't suffer sin upon them? So how would we? So if your neighbor, right? Let's say your neighbor is,
Yeah.
um, let's just use food, right? It's this low level. I'm not, it's not a low level thing, but people understand it, right? So the
Mhm.
Bible says you can't eat pork, right? But if your
Right.
neighbor, right, you trying to come together, you guys go to lunch, he eat a chopped cheese sandwich.
Mhm.
How far y'all gonna be able to get with all these differences, and you have a duty to correct?
Right. I do have a duty to correct pursuant to Ezekiel 3 and 18. If I don't give my neighbor warning of the sin that they're committing, and the Most High require it of me, of my hands.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's a great question, and everybody has their own. I know people that was full blown Muslims 3 years ago, but then you know, slowly but surely convert, into okay, I submit. I am a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I mean? And it's hard. That's a great question because you don't want to totally write off uh, uh say a Gentile. A Gentile would be a Hebrew Israelite who don't know they're Israelite and maybe eating pork. You don't want to just because they eating pork, he might need an extra push. You know what I'm saying? He might just need not 1 day, 2 days, maybe 3 days, maybe a week, maybe a month down the line. He needs that extra push. You know what I mean? As what I needed. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a one day I just started doing all the tenets. No, it's a journey. But I do have to give him. I got to get the blood off my hands by telling him the tenets of what he's supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Now, if he refuses, can two walk together lest they be agreed? Uh, like I said, that's a great question, man. A lot of people take grace. What is that? What's that? I talk too much.
No, no,
No,
Scram,
that was my phone. My bad. My bad.
we got a
Oh,
good
all
mic.
right.
Yeah. So
So
and
that's
that's the thing, right? So
He
Scram,
said I talk too much.
I thought it was a bell.
no,
Yeah, that's funny as hell.
you got a good microphone. Um, the so Scram, coming back to that though, right? So even in the Quran, right, it says if you don't have anything else to eat, right, you can eat pork, right? In the Bible, there were some Israelites who got their tongues cut out and all of that, where they did not, like, they refused to do it,
Mm,
you know. So if we all doing a bunch of different things, right, as we see in our world now, where
Hmm.
everybody just do what they want to do, right?
mm.
It's crazy. So how is that gonna work if we're all not aligned? And now I'm not saying we got to be perfectly aligned, but if we got 5 percenters and Muslims and Hebrew Israelites and Christians, like, we at a point, right?
Hmm.
That it's gonna come to a head. So
Right. I feel you.
so I'm just thinking, right? And because I'm just going off of what you guys saying,
Hmm.
what you're saying, is it really achievable? You know, and
Correct.
anybody
It
can do
is.
You got destinies though. Like you said earlier, the 2/3. That prophecy can't be broken. It's gonna be 2/3 regardless. You know what I mean? So, but we don't know. We don't know. I don't know if I'm part of the 2/3. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, I endure to the end, and I'm not, and I'm part of the elect. But the 1/3. But there's gonna be 2/3 regardless. And so the question is essentially, can we live with the 2/3? Can the elect live with the 2/3 and get what we need to get done as a community? I would say that's a good question. I don't know if Graham can answer.
Put it like this, right?
it.
I'll use a couple examples. I'm gonna start with number one. Nipsey died.
Uh-huh.
You had MS-13, Bloods, Crips, Land Kings, all types of gangs that's in LA walking down the street together, holding each other flags, marching against violence against each other, all types of shit, just putting the guns down for one day. Only took a day, just a day. They did it for a couple of days actually, but it was, I'm just going to speak on the one day that they did it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You also got the legendary Battle of Troy. Whether we want to believe it's real or not, it's another story. But legendary Battle of Troy, where they went to go take over Troy, that was all of Greece. That was about 10 different countries band together as one army to
Mm-hmm.
go fight one land. You know what I'm saying? It's achievable. You have one goal. When you always have one goal, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
When you got put it, we'll even go on a smaller perspective. When you go to work, you don't agree with everything your coworker agrees with, but that doesn't stop you from getting the job done. It may stop it a couple times, a couple bumps in the road. That's normal. You know what I mean? You argue with your coworkers, you may say something because they're gonna say something stupid. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna react. You know what I mean? However, for the most part, on a regular day, y'all go in, and even when y'all do that, they say some dumb shit and y'all react. You still get the job done. You see what I'm saying? Um, it's normal. We'll even take it a step further. When you're in the household, you don't agree with everything your brother, your mom, your sister, and none of that, but y'all get the job done together. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, when you have one common goal, it really don't matter what you believe in, because when you're trying to accomplish it, that's the only thing that matters. Once that's out the way, then yeah, we go back to normal because I mean, like you said, that's our belief system. It's who or like you said, it's our way of life. This is how we live. So you can't tell me not to live the way I live, because then that's going to cause a war. You see what I'm saying? Like that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like if we got a common enemy that's telling everybody, y'all can't live the way y'all live, no matter who you
Yeah.
are. And yeah, we got to start, because the enemy of an enemy is my friend. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Okay. I understand. Yeah, because I was just, yeah, I mean that makes sense, and I think now we could probably do that right with the right leadership. It just there's responsibility based on Hebrew Israelism to correct your neighbor. And I'm just wondering, would that come to a head? Now, not to blow up the premise, right? But it's very important that I do my due diligence, right? Because I just want to make sure all that's watching is properly edified. Because you made several points after this, but there's one point I got to blow up, though. All right. So here, right? See this here?
Mm,
So even at that
mm,
man's funeral procession, one
bad,
dead,
bad.
three injured, right?
Okay.
So not the blow, because you made your point beyond
Mhm.
that, and I catch your drift, but I just because then a motherfucker say, "Oh, Scram said this," you know what I mean? Like if people
Yeah,
look
but no, but
one.
check this out. I even use that. All right, cool. Because I even use that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be casualties of war, whether or not that comes from the other side or within. You see what I'm saying? Because again, we have differences. Yeah, we're fighting a common enemy, but we still have our differences. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, and then you gotta think about it too. There's also outside ailments that come into play. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you looking at a group of righteous brothers, you could put the Moors, the Hebrew Israelites, the Nuwapians all together and march together because they don't do shit but what they subscribe to do, in their doctrine, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you got, because that was a good example, but I'm glad you brought that up, because when you got people like that in an environment where I know for a fact the spirits was brought out, as far as spirits meaning the liquor. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how we celebrate in America. You see what I'm saying? So now
Yeah.
the liquor, the outside ailments enhance that environment, and then things like that happen. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. At the end of the day, things like that can definitely happen if we try to band together. Because again, we have differences. However, I don't. I still feel, even though that happened,
Mm-hmm.
I still feel the overall message got out to the masses, because more. what the masses saw on the internet, what was being shared as far as memes and clips was those brothers marching down the street, holding each other's flags, shaking hands, walking with each other. They didn't. Now that happened. There's articles on that, but that wasn't being shared more than the unity.
And the
So,
unity.
and the unity was the message. You see what I'm saying?
Makes sense. Makes sense. So now, little smoke. So 5%er is the black woman God?
Okay. So this is where I.
You-
All right, here we go. Let me just go in. Right, check
As
this
you
out.
should, as you should.
Check this out. Check this out. Right. So the God concept is a very broad concept, right? So when we speak of God, people are speaking from a biblical perspective, um, of a well, from a I'll just say it like this, from a very low biblical perspective, as in there's an actual man in the sky sitting on a cloud, and he's just pointing out that you're wrong, you're right, you're wrong, you're right, you're wrong, you're going to hell, and then that. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to talk about that God, I don't even deal with that. But when you're talking about the God concept of a supreme entity, right?
Mhm.
When you look up the term God, one of the definitions is supreme deity and or being,
Yeah.
right? So when you look up supreme, supreme means the highest.
Mhm.
What's the highest, right? And then you got being. A being is something that is in existence, even when you look up the definition. A being is something that is in existence.
Yeah.
So if a God is a supreme being, that means this entity or this thing that you're calling God, because again, it could be a deity, which is an energy, which is a force, or it could be a being.
Yeah.
So when they're saying that the black woman is God, there's many characteristics that go with this. So we're going to start with the fact that we know that first of all, the oldest people on the planet is the melanated being. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to say we're not going to give them a name. We're just going to call them melanated being. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
From this melanated being, they extracted DNA from one of the oldest fossils they found of one of these melanated beings that happened to be a woman. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And from this woman, they found out that everyone on this planet shares DNA with this one woman. This one woman. So it kind of goes to the Adam and Eve's concept. We just don't know where Adam is at. But that's why they call it the Eve gene. So now, when you're dealing with that, you got that aspect. Then you go to the fact that we know that everybody on the planet comes from us. And that's not even on a race thing, that's just scientific. You look at the color wheel, you look at the color spectrum, every color comes out of black. It doesn't come out of white. You see what I'm saying? And in reality, we got it twisted in hindsight, because when you look at it, they tell you that black is an absence of light, which is false. White is an absence of light. Black is not an absence of light. Why is black not an absence of light? Because when you take light and capture light in a solid form, it becomes a melanin or melanoid cell.
Okay, but hold on now.
hold
Too far now.
Bruh.
All right.
hold on. I was cooking. I wasn't even done. Go ahead. Let me hear.
I need an answer to the question. Right, precise and concisely. Is the black woman God? Or now let me break it. Let me see if because I think I understand. Black woman is a God.
Correct.
Okay. Cause yeah, I get the black and the brown and white, right? Absent, so on and so. But I just want to make sure. So the belief is that the black woman isn't God, right? In terms of, if, because people understand it most likely through Christianity, with it being the largest religion, meaning the most high God, right? So, you're not saying the black woman is the most high God. You're saying that the black woman is a God.
Correct. Because remember the definition I gave. When you
Yeah.
look up the definition of God, again, it could be, like you said, the most high God, which is a supreme deity. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because again, the supreme deity came to Moses and he said, I am what I am and I am what I will be. So there is no form of that entity that came and spoke to Moses. Now, when you look at the other, the and or being, now you got to look into the definition. Like, okay, well, who's the highest being? That's where the description was coming from. Because who's the highest being on the planet? Now you got to look at all these descriptions because it breaks down to who is the highest being on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which in reality, I'm gonna give it to you like this, right? Which in reality, the highest being on the planet is the black woman, man, woman, and child. You know what I'm saying?
Who first?
Now hold on. So check this out.
Okay.
The reason why we scream the black woman is God is because for years we've been screaming peace God to the black man, and that the black man is God. You know what I mean? That's where the whole God concept or the God body concept comes from. The 5% nation concept comes from, was that the black man is God. This was to uplift the black man back in the days where they was trying to beat down the black man. So now, in an era where they're trying to beat down the black woman, we come out with the black woman is God. You see what I'm saying? Now,
So
it ain't to put one over the other. It's just to acknowledge that this black woman, which all us black men come from, is on the same level as all of us black men, who we do call God. You know what I'm saying? And that's on the other definition of God, not the whole deity thing. Because we didn't create the universe. You know what I'm saying? And but that's a whole nother that's a whole nother conversation. But you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is.
see that black women were equal to black men in 5% ism. So even like Lord Jamar, like he said that the secondary is a necessity, but
Right.
they're still secondary, but they
Right.
are gods. So are you saying that the black woman is equal to the black man as far as being the same God on the same level?
Right. We just have everybody has order.
Who's first?
We first.
The men?
The son. The
So
man.
the man is over the woman?
If you want to put it like that, yeah.
Nah, Playboy. Is the man over the woman? I mean, you know, I mean,
Listen.
all right, hold on. Light your spliff.
Yeah, no, this is my thing. Listen, right?
Hold on. No, hold it. Just hold on to it, right? Because you know what I mean. You got tongue tied. So hold on. So
Nah, check it out, right?
I want to ask.
Okay.
Real quick, right? So, is the black woman God, Ezra?
No.
Why you say it like that?
I just gotta say no. Neither is the black man, because when we speak of God, like you just said, when people refer to is the black woman God, they're talking about the Most High. Is the black man the Most High? No. Is the black woman the Most High? No. God, from what I understood, is just an adjective, which means power. Are we gods and goddesses? Yes, because we have power. Simple as that. You know what I
So wait,
mean?
stop. So then so you contradict yourself a little bit. You said we're not gods, but then you just said that we're gods and goddesses because we have power.
Okay, so God, when we asked that question, when him asked that question, he was referring to the Most High power. God meaning power.
That's what you was referring to when you was asking that?
Yeah. So, and I apologize for
No. No, you good. Because even in that sense, though, I broke it down to a point where in the definition, right? You know what I'm saying? In the definition, there is a 2-part definition to that.
Yeah.
But also, even in your book, God is capitalized and is lowercase.
Yeah.
Which is separating the God that they're talking about. You see what I'm
book
saying?
are you referring to, just for the audience?
Well, I'm referring to the King James version. I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So in the Bible it says "Ye are God," right? Psalms 82, right? Verse 6. If anybody want to actually look it up, I think it's key.
But not even that. You got
and
even in
we
your
could go
first,
to it.
even in your opening, even in the opening book of Genesis, we're going to create them in our likeness, in our image.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said,
All,
we are what we call. You can say the word demigod. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, you can say
Because
that.
it's basically putting you under
There's
the
because
Most
there's a
High.
lot of gods, right? So the angels are gods, right? Satan's a god. So, and then you got the most high God. Now, one thing I just want people to have references, right? So Scram is correct, likeness and image, right? In the first book of Genesis, right? First chapter, sorry. But Psalms 82:6 explicitly says, ye are gods, but will die like men. To your point, where there are great beings on the earth that are gods, but they still have, the generic traits of fleshly traits, right? And then you
Correct.
have the most high. I just want to clarify one point for people that are listening and watching. If you go to Daniel 7 and 9, it describes God as having like a body, has a robe, has hair. So it does have some description, right? So Scram, you're not wrong, but there it does show him, right? Because we're in his likeness. To your point, so he has similar characteristics, right? And I'm
Mhm.
only saying he because it says the Lord is the man of war, stuff like that, right? So just for the audience sake, to make sure we keep everything in perspective and context, so they understand like where we're going with this. So now, I didn't get to ask:
Well,
is the black woman under the black man?
uh, under when you say well, I just make it layman's and say yes.
Order.
Um,
So Scram
or
mentioned order. So the order, is it man, black man first?
right, yeah, yeah. That would make yes, yes, yes. According to the Bible, yes, and according to science, yes. You know what I mean? So everything from the physical, the fact that we don't have every 30 days a vulnerable moment. I'll put it. Um,
Period. Every 28, 30 days.
right. So
Mhm.
yes, keep it sh- keep it short. Yes, and we
Okay.
could go to the Bible to prove it. I would refer to 1 Corinthians 11:3, just for the audience. So,
Yeah.
But see,
Okay.
this is the thing, though.
Hmm.
So when we talk to order in the 5% nation, we don't speak of, we don't look at it like that because we understand balance and we understand purpose. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, so when we're talking about order, yeah, we're gonna put the man first. When we talk about putting the man first, we're not talking about saying that the woman has to do everything the man says. What we're saying is that in any situation, for example, if a woman is out, if I mean you or your woman is out and some situation happens, you're not going to tell her to jump in front of you. You're going to jump in front of her. You see
Hmm.
what I'm saying? You're the protector. You're the first line of defense. You see what I'm saying? So we're not talking like, oh, we're above her. She has to bow down to us. We're saying, yo, we're first in line. You see what I'm saying? Next comes my queen, and again, she's still on our side. But this is the order that it comes in. Because then you get past us, then you got our child. But that also goes with the mathematic, the teachings, which is knowledge, wisdom,
Wisdom.
understanding. You see what I'm
Understand.
saying?
But
Because
knowledge is first in that, though, right? So, and then
right,
wisdom is second, which pertains to women, right?
correct,
Okay. I just want to, and again, I like to bring out some of the tenet just because I want people to understand high level. I want people to go do their own work, but
correct.
man is equal to knowledge, right? In 5% ism. I don't know if that's the right way I'm saying it. And
Now
then
you get
women is wisdom, right? That's kind of the correlation there. And I think
mhm.
I could, because women are very introspective, right? They have like that intuition, you know. So I think I don't disagree with that. But are you saying that we're first in terms of just defense, or so let me ask you a better question. Let me ask you a better question. Who leads the household? Who runs the household? Who's in charge of the household? And I'm not saying what happens in the house. I'm just talking about the family, because it
when
50
you say
doesn't work.
when you say in charge, like what do you mean in charge?
So who
Like
makes
it,
decision? Who's the decision maker?
That's a broad question.
It's broad because
I,
it literally is the question, right? So if you have a excuse me, if you have a 50-50, you can almost never make a decision. 50-50 doesn't actually work. You need somebody to have
That's what
more
you're saying.
authority, right?
That's what you're
So
saying.
who has the most authority to make a decision and stand on that decision and deal with the repercussions that come with it? So in
Shit,
that household of a five percenter,
shit,
who's in charge?
in 2021, shit, whoever making the most goddamn money, shit,
see,
like
see that?
shit. It's like, at the end of the day, shit, if a man ain't making enough bread and the shorty over here pay the bills, what can he really say? Let's be real.
I mean, yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can't really say nothing. They in his house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to be and I'm be on some real shit, right? And in this day and age, right? And I'm not even gonna speak for other states. I'm just speaking Connecticut. For the most part, niggas is living with women. So when you're talking about who's running the household, it's a very broad question because in certain circumstances, there is women running the household. You know what I'm saying? And in certain circumstances, there's men running the household. So I
okay,
can't really sit there and say who's. If you're asking me who should run the household, I
yeah,
personally believe a man should run the household.
yeah,
Why? Because a man is more sturdier when it comes to stability, and I'm talking about emotional stability. You know what I'm saying? When I'm talking a man, I'm talking like, we have the whole alpha beta thing. We have the whole alpha beta thing. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about stability or whatever, um, the man is supposed to be running the household because a man doesn't have to, is not making a judgment off of emotion. You see what I'm saying? He's making a judgment off of logic.
you
And
got to
logic is and,
now.
and logic is leader. Whatever.
You got a little bit of an echo, I
Hold on.
think, because your thing might be a little too close. Yep. So, excuse me. So men by nature should run the household. Yeah, I mean, money is a factor, right? We can go through
Yeah,
that.
right. Outside of money. Outside of money. Correct. Outside of money.
What we
Because
going,
when you
what's going on now?
I'm
I don't think right though, right? Like, I mean, we are our community specifically. If you want to just talk about our community, ever since women have been running our community, we have been the lowest of the low, right? After the crack epidemic and the jobs went away and we start going to prison, right? And then they built the projects and the different constructs that didn't allow men to be with the women in the family if they wanted to reap the benefits of the government. Our community has been doing very, very poorly. So, yes, the question, just to clarify, is who should be running the household?
Yeah, I feel like the man should be running the household. However, that
Eh,
po- that
but hold
that
on.
point, no, that I want to touch on that point. I'm not. Nah, my answer is clear. The man
Let
should
me
be running the
say that
household.
anything that come after a butt is bullshit.
Nah,
Remember that.
because not.
All right. And now, before you expound, let me let Ezra. So, same question, right? Just to make sure, right? Who should be running the household?
I mean, the man, without a doubt, especially in the black community. Uh, as we know Jim Crow, we know Willie Lynch, we know what the machine tries to do to break up that natural order. What is that natural order? That a man leads his family. Um, and you ask the question, who should lead their family? Obviously, the one that's less prone to emotion. It's a consensus. It's a well-known fact. Even women would agree that they're inherently more emotional. You know what I mean? And uh, emotion disregards logic and leads to mistakes. Therefore, that's simple. I mean, the man should. Nobody. A woman would want to be led. That's her natural being. You know what I mean? So, but Scram made a good point about 2021 and what the machine has done to mess up that natural order, and that's why we're in the conditions that we're in today.
Go ahead, Scram.
Yeah, basically, he touched on exactly what I was gonna say, yo. Like, because it's basically at the end of the day, it's not something that just happened because this is what we wanted. It was something that was forced upon us psychologically without us even knowing it was even happening. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, we know that what the order of everything is, because we're not different. We're not separate from nature. As we I know we like to separate ourselves from nature, but we are nature. And in nature, the male and leads in almost every, and I'm not gonna say every, because I know in some certain circumstances the woman does lead. But however, and for most part, the man is the leader in every pack. It doesn't matter what pack you're talking about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
man.
now, when you're looking at it in the human pack, it's the same thing. The male was the leader, and
Mm-hmm.
they knew that. This is the reason why they demasculated the man. This is the reason why they, like you said, they took men out of the jobs and gave them to the woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No
I,
question. So,
and I,
mm-hmm.
Salaki, if I could just land me back. You mentioned the balance. Yes, it has to be a balance. It has to be a masculinity and what's the opposite? Masculinity,
Femininity.
feminine, yeah,
femininity. There's a balance there that needs to be in every household to me. You know what I mean? So it's a team effort. I don't just want to say they're emotional. Yes, emotions lead to mistakes, but emotions also lead to a word you said, intuitive. You say intuitiveness. You said that
Intuition.
intuition. Yes. So, for instance, the Bible says it talks about how a good wife could be a tower of defense for her husband. You know what I mean? So, for instance, s- like I give an example: a guy and a girl's out for the night, drinking, whatever. A man approaches the woman in an aggressive manner, whatever. Man, and naturally they wanna fight. They go into defense mode, right? However, it that sometimes that can't be the best option. Obviously, you have a woman, or if she's a virtuous woman, she'll be like, "No, babe, it's all right. He ain't nothing, and you don't gotta fight. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do nothing. Let's just go home." So that's the tower of defense. You don't know what could happen. Woman has that intuition. Okay, what if the other dude got a gun? What if something bad happens? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that emotion is in a lot of cases very
necessary.
conducive. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Necessary. So I just want to say that I'm not downplaying the emotion factor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
So look, man, this has been an interesting dialogue, right? We hit a lot of different topics, a lot of different points, and what I want to applaud is that there's a lot of understanding to Scram's point that we can come together, even though the ground may not be fully flat, right? We may have some foothills and pitfalls that we may disagree on. By and large, our people come from a lot of the same principle, right? Like you mentioned with Farrakhan, right? Even with the 5% and the understanding is a lot of it we do align on, right? The thing in which we don't align on, I'm not saying we can just skip past them, but they don't have to like hold us up. um Eventually they'll come to, it's gonna come to a head. like like I said, things will happen, but if we could say, listen, put this aside for a moment, band together for the greater good, because by and large our largest, what people think are the biggest principles, are pretty tight. You know what I'm saying? Are pretty tight overall. So you know what I mean, I want to give a second to give I'm gonna steal this from Jerry Springer, but the hell with him. um do some final thoughts. Scram you up. Give
word
us
up.
synopsis, what you think. Boom.
That's true. Shit, this was a dope podcast, yo. I love this shit, yo. I'm definitely coming back on this thing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my boy Ezra. Shout out to Hamp. You know what I mean? Um, Basically, my closing remarks is this, yo. Like, at the end of the day, the way you live is the way you live. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can tell you how you living is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're doing some real foul shit. You know what I mean? But when it comes to what people will call religion, right? Um, Whatever it is you believe in is whatever it is you believe in. However, we all have a common enemy. We all know who that common enemy is. Whether we want to see it or not, whether we want to agree with it or not, that's on you. But we all have a common enemy. And at the end of the day, putting your beliefs or walks of life, ways of life aside to deal with a common enemy, because again, the enemy of an enemy is my friend. until that enemy is gone, and then we become enemies again. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. It is what it is.
Word.
Scrams Vision coming back soon too. Don't worry.
My bad. I hit the button on you.
Oh
Say
no,
that.
don't even worry about it. Scrams Vision coming back soon.
They're
You know what I'm
coming
saying?
back, man. Tune in, man. Follow. What you feel?
Yeah, I like the podcast, man. I'll be back on the next episode, Lord willing. I appreciate Scram and Hamp for the dialogue, the edification. You know, I learned some things. Never too high and mighty to learn or holy to learn. Um, I do. I would like to. I would like my brother Scram to be full fledged Israelite. I'm not gonna sit here and say hey, he just is that we got a covenant. No, I want him to
Oh man.
I want him to be on board with the Israelites. I'm not gonna lie. I want him to, just like me, I got some improving to do and all of that. Scriptures say when one sinner repents, the angels rejoice. So I want that for my community. And if we were ideally, if we were on one accord in all Israel, that would be ideal. That would be better, you know. But beggars can't be choosers. We have a 2/3. Can't break the prophecy. But I appreciate the podcast, and I'll be back next time, Lord willing.
Word, man. Hey, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate brothers being humble. You know what I mean? Having a dialogue and having a conversation, man. So, like, share, subscribe. You know what I mean? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share. You know what I mean? If you take you 1 second, maybe less than a second, to hit the like subscribe button, maybe another second to hit the like button, and maybe 3 seconds to share it, right? Because you got to pick which platform. So 7 seconds you could you could support. You know what I mean? It only takes 7 seconds, man. Love is love.